Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Thermoplastic Resins, that is PET 371. This is the summer session of Thermoplastic Resins for 3 semester hours. I am your instructor, Dr. Norton, and you are doing this as part of the Department of Engineering Technology. I am perfectly happy with you calling me Jean or Professor Norton or Dr. Norton. Please don't call me Mrs. Norton. I am not Mrs. Norton. My husband's last name is Orsborn, so if you're going to call me Mrs. anything, it should be Mrs. Orsborn. Anything you'd like to call me where I can't hear you is acceptable. Please be aware that the walls have ears and people really enjoy getting other people in trouble. Now, there is a Mrs. Norton on the planet, so just keep in mind if you accidentally send something to Mrs. Norton, I will be forwarding it to this lovely lady. This is my grandmother, Dot. She claims to be 39. This is my mother, Dr. Mary Williams Norton. So you're going to have to go back 2 generations if you'd like to speak to a Mrs. Norton. She is very helpful, however, she doesn't know a whole lot about plastics. So if you would like to speak to the person who's your instructor, that would be me, Dr. Norton, Professor Norton, or Jean, which is perfectly fine. So, for this course, we are studying thermoplastic materials that are commercially available for the plastics industry. And we are reviewing manufacture, properties, and applications of these widely utilized resins. There are many other resins that are scientifically interesting. I am just focusing on the ones that are widely commercially used. What I will be focusing on is chemical structure-property relationships, meaning what the chemical structure has to do with the processing properties that we care about for industry. Some of these chemical structure properties are crystallinity, morphology on the molecular level, copolymerization, the kind of monomers you use to make the polymer, molecular weight, how big the polymer is, and then the physical properties that result from that chemical structure. The co-requisite for this is Thermoplastic Resins Laboratory. I will also be the instructor of that. The prerequisites for this course are Intro to Organic, Organic 1, or Intro to Polymer Science and Technology. You may or may not have had these prerequisites waived. Keep that in mind. This may be taken for honors if anyone is interested. If that is the case, I need to hear from you immediately if you wish to take this course for honors. So the objectives of this course are to develop a working knowledge of the properties and characteristics of thermoplastic resins. Also, to understand the concept of polymer composition, in other words, their chemical structure, and structural morphology as determinants of properties and characteristics of plastics. These include crystallinity as a source of strength of thermoplastics, polydispersity of polymeric materials, the effect of molecular weight and molecular weight distribution on processability of thermoplastics. We will also categorize thermoplastics as the first level of material selection into these categories: general purpose, quasi-commodity, engineering, and specialty. We will also develop a working knowledge of the raw starting materials and the polymerization processes of thermoplastics. There are really no textbooks, but these are some that have been used to develop the notes that you will have access to. All of the quizzes and exam materials and homework materials come from the notes. If I want you to read something special, I will post a PDF to Canvas and assign it specifically. So there are no textbooks to purchase. These are just the sources that I used for the notes. This is the grading system. 90, 80, 70, 60. So in other words, 90 and above is an A, 80 and above is a B, 70 and above is a C, 60 and above is a D, and anything below 60 is an F. Homework consists of 25% of the final grade. Quizzes are 45% of the final grade. You will have 1 midterm exam and 1 final examination, both for 15% of the final grade. There will be 2 homework assignments given throughout the semester, and they will cover material in review for the following exam. So you will have 1 homework assignment prior to the midterm, and then you'll have 1 homework assignment prior to the final. Please make sure that you are able to complete the homework and understand the material in the homework, because that's the best chance you have of understanding what is expected on the exam. If you are having any difficulty with the homework, please discuss them with me, please discuss them with your fellow students, so that you are better prepared for the exam. Homework is due at the time of the exam, so your homework will be sent in to me prior to me opening up the exam for you to take. There will be a quiz given after each video, including this video. They will consist of 3 to 5 questions. I regularly recycle quiz questions into exam questions, with the exception of this video because this is the syllabus. But If you have not completed a quiz for a video or set of videos, you cannot proceed to the next video or set of videos. You must complete your quiz before you can move on to the next one. I can't emphasize this enough. Quizzes are 45% of the final grade. You will take them in 3 to 5 question chunks, but they're a significant portion of the final grade. So please make sure you understand the concepts in the videos before you take the quiz, so that that doesn't impact your grade negatively if you don't understand. There are a lot of videos, there's a lot of slides, and there will be 3 to 5 quiz questions for each 15-minute video. So I'm trying to reduce the number of slides you have to study for the quiz, but still. And I will also try to emphasize very clearly what I want you to know. However, make sure you understand those before you dive into a quiz. Exams will be given throughout the semester. There will be 2. This is a short semester. This is 8 weeks. Normal semesters are 16 weeks, so we will have fewer exams. There will be a midterm that covers all the material up to that point, and there will be a final comprehensive exam, in other words, all of the course material. The exam periods will be open for a specific time. In other words, when you go into the exam, you have a specific time in which to complete it. If you need to take the exam at some time other than when I have opened it up for the entire class, I need to hear from you, and I need to hear from you as soon as you know there will be an issue. This is kind of the case for everything in the course. And at this point, you're going to be getting a hold of me via Canvas message or email. So please make sure that you have the ability to do both. So, here's some general information. I will consider active participation and effort level when assigning final grades. If you are the person who is always on top of your quizzes, always on top of your homework assignments, and you are on the bubble, I will keep this in mind if you happen to fall in between a grade. So, you have an 89.6 and you've been a model student, you'll get an A. If you have an 89.6 and you've been kind of a pain in my rear end, you will get the grade you earn, which is a B. Anything below a 90 is a B. So, another thing to point out, this class is 100% online, including the lab. So you must have access to a reliable internet connection for the entire term of this course. So, starting on June 3rd for 8 weeks, make sure you have access to a reliable internet connection. If you do not, please understand, this is your notice. I am not accepting I was having technical issues. Because that usually means that you waited until the very last second to do a quiz, an exam, or turn in your homework, and Murphy's Law kicked in, and your internet connection was poor. So, please don't do that. This is your notice. I will be happy to hear that excuse. It just won't be anything that will save your butt to get you out of a problem. So, these are the course topics. Introduction and History of the Plastics Industry, Raw Materials and Their Source, Basic Structure and Characteristics of Resins, Molecular Weight, Crystallinity, Polymerization Processes, and Categories of Thermoplastic Resins. These first few topics are the ones that we will cover relatively quickly, as we will have to cover all of these materials, so because it is an intensive 8-week course. Then we will get into the families of thermoplastic resins and their properties, manufacture, and applications. And we start from the commodity polymers, in other words, polyolefins, some of the vinyls, and then styrenes, and then we start to get into some of the quasi-commodity and engineering. So acrylics, polyesters, polyamides, also known as nylons, polycarbonates, polyacetal, polyphenylene sulfide, polysulfone, polyimide, polytetrafluoroethylene, also known as Teflons, and I may bring up some miscellaneous if we have time, but we will definitely cover 1 through 12 of these families of thermoplastic resins. So, some of you might be unclear as to what my expectations are. Please follow this handy tutorial if you would like to know the things that bother me the most. So I call this How to Achieve It Underachieving. What follows is almost entirely sarcasm. So in other words, do exactly the opposite if you'd like to succeed. So this class is required for both a plastics engineering technology degree or a polymer chemistry undergraduate degree. So this course will be taught whether you are here and make the most of it or not. These things that follow may seem obvious. However, every semester people give this a try. Every semester people are annoyed that it doesn't work for them. So please keep in mind, I care about your performance only as much as you do. If you care, I care. If you don't, I don't. I will be teaching this course whether or not you make the most of it. And I am required to make myself available to you. That's why they pay me. However, I am not required to chase you. And I'm old, so the interwebs can sometimes confound me. I'm kidding. I'm very reachable by things like email or Canvas message. However, I don't read minds, and I'm not going to reach out to you if you've decided to drop off the map. Please study. The quizzes are very important because I recycle these into exams. And the pre-exam homework assignments are structured solely to help you prepare for exams. For me, they're just something extra to grade. So please make use of all the materials and study materials to the best of your ability. It's important that you complete things when they're due. Homework, quizzes, and exams. You don't have a lot of points available over the summer because of the intensive nature of the online course, so please make sure that you are making use of all of the materials and completing them in a timely fashion. This entire course is contained within Canvas. If you are not paying attention to Canvas, you will miss something important, something that will definitely impact your final grade. Official announcements are made only in Canvas. In other words, if I change a due date or if I change an exam, that's where it's made. I also need you to communicate if you need help. Email and Canvas message is very, very important. I am not going to chase you down, and I can't read your mind. So please reach out if you don't understand something. You're not bothering me. It is my job. Now, mind you, I do have a bedtime, and I do have other obligations beside this course. So you're not going to get an instantaneous response. But I am pretty good at getting back in a timely fashion, so if you reach out, I will reward you with an answer to your question. Now, if you're unclear on directions about something, please ask. It's the first step to understanding. So if you're not quite clear on what I'm driving at with something, please ask as soon as you have the question. Please do not try to run scams. Please don't try to cheat. There are mechanisms in place for me to make sure that you can't. However, necessity is the mother of invention, and everybody finds a way around these at some point. I don't like it, and there's really no need for it. So I will make full use of any PSU policies to punish academic dishonesty. I don't like people who lie to me, so please don't. It bothers me, and it usually impacts you, and it will definitely impact future generations of students. For example, I granted a time conflict waiver to someone who was less than honest with me about why they needed it. They misused it. I had to deal with it for a full semester, and so now I do not grant time conflict waivers to anyone for any reason anymore. So you might get away with it, but people coming after you will not, and I will use you as an example. So here are some other things that have come up. I am an exceedingly fair person. I make the rules for everyone. The rules are not that difficult to follow. If you want me to change the rules just because you're awesome, and you are awesome, so know that I believe that wholeheartedly, they won't be. If you work with me, I can work with you, but basically rolling up on me at the last minute and saying, I can't do this because, is not going to really help you out very much at all. This is not easy material. This is a university level course, and this is a chemistry course tucked in amongst engineering courses. Not a lot of people like it. I try to make it enjoyable, and I understand that it may not be your cup of tea. However, this is a university level course. If you already knew this stuff, you wouldn't be here, so please don't complain that the material is hard. I will help you understand it to the best of my ability, especially if you ask. However, once again, I don't answer questions that aren't asked. I'm not interested in how other professors do things, what their online style might be, what their speed of answering emails may be, and I'm one of the fastest when it comes to answering emails. So please don't run that up the flagpole. I'm not interested in how other professors might do it. Once again, I'm exceedingly fair. Usually the phrase "no fair" comes out when I am applying the rules to you and you don't like it. So this is the F word in my class. If you'd like to know what the B word is, it's busy. Everyone who is hearing the sound of my voice right now is a busy person. We are all engaged in an 8-week intensive course. Me as your instructor, you as the student, and there are fellow students right along with you. So everyone is busy. Please don't try to convince me that you are somehow more busy and your time is more valuable. I don't appreciate it. Also, the perception of what is an emergency to you may not be my perception of an emergency. So lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. Emergencies usually involve fire, catastrophic problems, catastrophic injury. So let's hope no one has any emergencies. Let's just hope that you procrastinated and that you own up to that and you ask me for an extension. that I'm willing to hear, but not that it's an emergency, and not that you're having technical difficulties, which led to your emergency. So this concludes the syllabus presentation. There will be a separate syllabus presentation for the lab, which you should also view. And please proceed, after you feel you understand these things, to the quiz for the syllabus. I look forward to a good semester, and good luck to you.